Hello, we are here to talk about 5 beginning lessons for unity, or why we aren't fighting like cats and dogs anymore. We have learned these lessons from husband and father, David Freeman, founder of Dialog and Resolve LLC, and blogger on dialogandresolve.com. So the first of our 5 lessons is going to be introduced by Devin, our first daughter. And what do you have to tell us today?
Oh boy. I'm here to talk about the conflict styles, which are avoid, accommodate, compete, and compromise, and collaborate.
Okay, so there are 5 conflict styles. And tell us about avoid.
Avoiding is when you pretend like a conflict isn't happening.
Okay.
If you are confronted, you just try to avoid it at all costs.
All right, so what is accommodate then?
Accommodate is if someone confronts you about something, you do whatever they say.
Okay.
Just to avoid any further conflicts.
Okay, so you just accommodate and do whatever it is they want you to do, or not do whatever it is they don't want you to do?
Right.
Okay, so that's avoid and accommodate. What was the third one?
Compromise.
Okay, what is compromise?
Say you have a piece of pie, and 2 people want the same piece of pie. Someone cuts the piece of pie in half, and you give 1/2 to each of the people.
Okay.
So they each get a piece of pie, but neither are happy because they didn't get the whole pie.
I understand. So then what is the 4th one?
Compete.
Compete. Explain complete for us.
Compete can be many things, and most often it turns into a verbal combat.
Verbal combat. You mean like yelling back and forth?
Like a tennis match.
Oh, okay. All right. So, is it like playing a game for some people?
I think sometimes it is.
Okay.
They like seeing how much they can compete with someone
Okay.
and see how much they can control them.
I see. All right. So then the 5th one was collaborate, correct?
Yes. Collaborating could be, well, it's not yelling at each other and actually listening to what the other person has to say. So going back to the pie, say they both want the pie, but one of them doesn't really like apple pie. They're just doing it because they don't want to give in and seem like a weakling.
Ah.
And the other person happens to have Reese's peanut butter cups. Now, the person who doesn't really like apple pie loves Reese's peanut butter cups. So, while arguing over the pie, they both decide, wait a minute, we need to stop and talk about this. So they stopped and talked, and they found out that that person does not like apple pie, but likes Reese's peanut butter cups. So the person who has the Reese's peanut butter cups gives Reese's peanut butter cups to the other person, and then he gets apple pie.
Aha. So
I don't know if that made any sense. That was really confusing. Sorry.
What I understood was, instead of just walking away or giving in or cutting the pie in half or fighting over it, instead you talk about your interests and come to a solution together that both of you are happy with.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for telling us about the conflict styles. And can you tell me exactly how that's helped you from fighting like cats and dogs anymore?
Well, hey, used to we would just compete all the time, and it often broke out into fist fights.
I see.
So, what Dad taught us to do was to stop. And when things were going to get physical, it would just be like, okay, wait a minute. Why are we fighting like this? We need to stop and talk about it. So we would stop and we would talk about it. And most often, we would be surprised at what the other person wanted. Or, that we were surprised that, oh wait, we can stop and talk about this. We don't have to fight every single detail out. So, yeah, I've got a lot less scars in the past few years than I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for telling us about the 5 conflict styles. And I believe Kirsten is going to be the next daughter. So if you would go ahead and let her sit down, I thank you very much for your time.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, Kirsten. So I believe you are going to tell us about introversion versus extroversion.
Yes.
How does it help with not fighting like cats and dogs anymore?
Well, an introvert prefers to be by his or herself. He or she recharges by sitting alone or reading a book or drawing a picture. But an extrovert prefers to have a hectic schedule and lots of people around. And he or she recharges by being with tons of people.
Okay. So how does that help with not fighting or becoming unified?
Well, if an introvert and an extrovert are fighting, then if an introvert knows the extrovert likes lots of people and different things than he or she does, it makes it easier to give grace because they both know they are different.
Okay. So are introversion and extroversion the only things that you need to know about personality?
No, there are a lot of other different personality types, but I kind of wanted to whittle it down to 2.
Okay. Thank you very much. So how has this helped you personally in your beginning lessons to unity in your family?
Because I and my sister are exact opposites, and it makes it so that we fight a lot because we are exact opposites. We like the exact opposite things.
Okay. So knowing this has helped you how?
Give grace and know why we're different and why we fight so that we won't fight.
I see.
So
Okay.
I can give grace to her and she can give grace to me.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kirsten. And I believe next is Brennan. Brennan, what is the subject you have today? What's our third thing in 5 beginning lessons to unity?
Listening.
Listening? How does it help?
Well, so in order to talk well, you need to listen to the other person to see what they are talking about. And listening includes sitting still and looking the person in the eyes.
Like we're doing right now?
Yes, to let them know that you are listening.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you must be sitting down.
Oh, you must?
Well, it's easier.
I see. So it's easier for you to sit down to listen.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if the person has a really long time to say what they're saying.
Oh, I see.
Another way would be acknowledging verbally.
Okay.
It really depends on the situation, on how you acknowledge it.
Okay. But the basics are what?
So, say if you're in an argument and the other person is angry at you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an example. So, 2 sisters are playing on the floor and they have toys. One sister says, "Hey, that toy is mine. You stole it from my toy box." Instead of saying, "I did not. You took that from mine," and hitting, you should say, "So I heard you say that you were angry at me for taking your toy." And then it would probably be best to give it back.
I see. So how has, so you're saying that you need to acknowledge first their emotion, as you talked about being angry, and then go ahead and rephrase what it is that they were saying?
Yes. It doesn't have to be shorter. It just needs to be in your own words, but still be what the person is talking about.
I see. So how has this helped you, do you think? Not fight like cats and dogs anymore?
I think it helps the people understand that, yes, I know what they are saying. And so they don't have to repeat themselves and get angrier.
I see.
Because it's so frustrating when someone isn't listening.
It is frustrating.
They just, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you need to tell me?
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I believe your next sister would be Devin, right? She is going to come back and tell us about something else on our list of 5 beginning lessons to unity, or why we don't fight like cats and dogs anymore.
Sounds mysterious.
What do you have to tell us, Devin?
Contribution versus fault.
Okay, what does that mean? Let's say I come to you and I say, it's all of your fault.
All of my fault. Most often that is not true.
Okay.
Like in Brennan's
Scenario?
scenario, thank you.
Mhm.
Like in Brennan's scenario, a lot of things could have been the contribution. Like the first kid
Mm-hmm.
playing on the floor could have left her toy out and like in the wrong place, and then forgotten that it was there, and then the other kid came out and picked it up and started playing with it, and the one whose toy it is came out and thought that person got it out of her toy box when really she just left it on the floor.
Okay, so the first child might have contributed by leaving the toy out when they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And the second could have contributed by picking the toy up knowing that it was the other person's toy. I see. So it wasn't necessarily one person's fault. They both had contribution to the incident.
Yes.
I see.
And it
Okay.
could have been a third person.
Oh,
Could have been Mommy. Mommy could have come in and seen the toy on the floor and taken it and put it in the wrong toy box.
I see. So there could have been actually 3 people contributing rather than just the 2 people involved.
But the 2 people involved only saw 2 people involved.
I see. I'm afraid that happens quite a bit. Is there anything else that you can tell me about contribution versus fault?
Only that if you try to accuse one person of everything, it's not going to end well.
Okay. So it's better to find contribution rather than fault.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Kirsten, I believe you have the last thing on our list.
Yes, I do.
What do you have to tell us?
I am telling you about forgiveness and apologies.
Forgiveness and apologies. Can you speak a little bit?
Yes, I can.
Okay. How in the world does forgiveness and apology help with 5 beginning lessons to unity? I would think that forgiveness and apology are something that you would think of very last of all, if ever.
Well, forgiveness is when you let go of a grudge in your heart because someone has done you wrong,
Okay.
and you don't let it go. You just hold on to it.
Mhm.
And it eventually makes it so you don't want to be around that person because all you're thinking of is, she or he wronged me. I don't like that person.
Okay.
Forgiving is when you let go of the grudge and say, I love that person no matter what.
Mhm.
This is a small thing and I'm not going to let it bug me.
Or it might be a big thing.
Right, but I'm still not going to let it bug me.
Okay. And so how does apology have to fit in here?
An apology is
Excuse me.
when someone does something wrong and then comes back later and apologizes or repents or says you're sorry for it. So say, going back to the kids on the floor with the toy theory,
Mhm.
someone did the compete theory, compete,
Okay.
and
So they're yelling back and
they're
forth.
yelling back and forth, and the owner of the toy grabs the toy, and runs away,
Okay.
yelling all the way. The person who was playing with the toy goes away crying because she or he lost and was yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
And then the owner of the toy comes back later and says, I'm very sorry. I hurt your feelings by yelling at you and yanking the toy from you, even though I didn't know the whole story. And then it would be easier for the one who was wronged to forgive and say, well, you did hurt my feelings, but I forgive you.
Okay.
It's all right now.
And so how does that help with future conflicts?
Because if in almost every conflict in the past you have had has been resolved with the forgiveness and apology, then in future conflicts it will be easier to resolve and go through the conflict with grace.
And you're not thinking then about all the other conflicts that you've had before.
You aren't filled with grudges or
You aren't filled with
bitterness.
grudges. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Do you have anything more to add about forgiveness or apology?
No, I think I pretty much summed it up.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Those are our 5 beginning lessons to unity, or why we don't fight like cats and dogs anymore. You can get more in depth with these lessons if you go to dialogandresolve.com or call the number that you find there when you get to the website. And thank you very much.
Bye!